What's going on, 49er Faithful, 49er fam, 49er Gang? This is your boy, 49er Dion, a.k.a. Niner Gang Podcast, back here in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, let's get right on into it, man. So we're going to talk about a couple of things here today. Just a recap on the Seahawks game, which we unfortunately lost. And, just going to give you a little update on the picks for the season. So, unfortunately, we did. We lost. We played the Seahawks, man, and we lost, that game in a way that we definitely didn't want to. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. Game was lost 30-23. And this game was lost on three separate things. The first being Jimmy G. The second being special teams, third being the refs. You never want to leave the game in the hands of the refs for any reason, but for them to be that egregious with the calls that they missed all game long was flat out, just an atrocity. So for me, when I'm looking at things, I see so many missed calls and so many things that wind up killing us. We're shooting ourselves in the foot with penalties. The special teams thing kind of hurt us. Honestly, you can't prepare for a fake punt because you don't necessarily anticipate it. Like, no one really knows when that's going to happen. But it happened. So that fake punt that, Travis Homer took straight to the end zone, we were not prepared for, nor did we know that that was going to happen. We figured at that point in the game, Pete Carroll was just going to go ahead. Hey, Mom. We figured that Pete Carroll was going to go ahead and just punt the ball like a normal head coach would do in that situation. But he decided to take a chance. Now, the number one thing that we have to remember about this game is this is a divisional foe. So it's harder when you're playing somebody in the division because those people will automatically, hey, what's good with you, Brendan? Chilling, brother, chilling. It's hard when you play a divisional foe because they know you. They play you twice a year. They play you consistently year in and year out. And if you have that person that's actually, that stays with the team, throughout the years that you're there, they start to learn what you do. They know your tendencies. They know the ins and outs. And that person is Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner loves playing Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy Garoppolo he has so many weak points that he already knows exactly what to do. Bobby Wagner had an interception in the game. The other interception was to Quandre Diggs. The one to Bobby Wagner was completely inexcusable. There's two linebackers standing right there. You don't throw that ball. The interception to Quandre Diggs, basically that was just Jimmy openly stating in his post-game press conference, I was being greedy. I was trying to do too much. So Kyle explained in the post-game press conference both of those interceptions and what Jimmy should have done with the ball. But still, he's the starting quarterback. So this makes absolutely no sense. So you're telling me this guy's your starting quarterback. He's your guy. And you knew he messed up with the ball, which he seems to do, unfortunately, very often. And you can't really condone that. So I saw something on Instagram that was actually pretty cool. It was a stat. It showed that when Jimmy throws less than 30 passes, he has a better record. And when he throws more than 30 passes, like, he has a losing record. So for all those people out there that say Jimmy Garoppolo is this, Jimmy Garoppolo is that, he's a winner and, he does this, he does that. A quarterback who can't even attempt 30 passes on a consistent basis, that tells you something. It tells you, one, he's not that good of a thrower of the ball, and or your head coach just doesn't trust you. And I feel like it's the latter. The head coach just doesn't trust him. For us to go 44, 41, and 39 times rushing the ball 3 weeks in a row, and then when it comes down to this game, we only run the ball 25 times, and we only had 66 yards. Though Elijah Mitchell did wind up getting a touchdown, you have to think about that and put it into perspective. We couldn't control the clock. Hey, what's going on, Sin? We couldn't control the clock the way that we normally do. And that's the frustrating part about it. Because in all of those other games, we ran the ball, we controlled the clock. Hell, in the Jacksonville game, we walked all the way downfield and took the whole damn first quarter. Literally. They had maybe under a minute when they got the ball. So that shows you what Kyle wants to do. And he's only doing that because he knows his quarterback has limitations. So here's the issue. You spend the rest of the season trying to fight for that 6th or 7th seed. But say you don't make the playoffs. Say you don't actually go anywhere. Say you're sitting at home at the end of the day. You know what that does? Shows that, unfortunately, we've wasted a year of Trey Lance's development. Because with the current record that we have right now, we could be that record with Trey Lance starting. I guarantee you we would. And I guarantee the young kid would be getting better and better. You know, it's just about giving the kid the opportunity to be able to do things the way that he needs to. So in this game, you know, Russell was Russell, man. 30 or 37, 231 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. We did sack Russell 4 times, which actually is a very, very great feat. But here's another stat for you. Kyle is 1-5 in Seattle. 1-5 in Seattle. And yes, you're right, Sin. He did his post-game press conferences. He just looks like, man, look, I'm almost out this motherfucker anyway. I truthfully don't care. They put me in there. I run the plays that are called. I just do what I'm told. I don't give a fuck. Like, and he laughs. He jokes. You know, like when Trey Lance is more pissed off about us losing the game than Jimmy Garoppolo, it tells you something. You know, when Jimmy Garoppolo comes out and doesn't take accountability, always has an excuse for everything, that lets you know he's not a true leader. A leader takes accountability for things. It doesn't make a difference what it is or how it works. But you take accountability for things. You understand the wrongs, and you go ahead and you try to right those wrongs week in and week out. A lot of people will say, well, you know, you just make things up. You only see what you want to see when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo. No, we see the positivity, but we see the number one thing, which is inconsistency. So that's our problem. Those 2 interceptions cannot be thrown. Because when you get those interceptions, what do? You wind up turning the ball over, giving that offense a chance to score. Now, mind you, when you look at it from a statistical standpoint, the guys that we truthfully needed to stop was Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett had 7 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown, but that was really it. He didn't go crazy. DK Metcalf, 5 catches for 60 yards, no TDs. The other touchdown went to D. Eskridge, which I believe he's like a random receiver or a tight end or something to that effect. I believe he's a random receiver. Like, nobody knows who D. Eskridge is, you know. And when you look at it, the only rushing touchdown had was Travis Homer and Adrian Peterson. AP did nothing, averaged 1.5 yards per carry. Rashad Penny averaged 3.5 yards per carry. The biggest amount of yards that we gave up was that actual rush by Travis Homer, and that was just basically on the fake punt. Moles Nose says it doesn't benefit him. I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy subconsciously was sabotaging games because he's in his head. It's very true. It's very, very true. Okay, so we got a new person in here. Low the Truth 05. I got a question for you. Why doesn't Lynch step up and force Kyle to put in Trey? He knows Jimmy is trash and he's the GM. Lynch said early in the season, and he said it every season very consistently, and he's never wavered from this, the actual football decisions of the personnel when it comes to who plays are on Kyle. He does not have a hand in that. He could probably suggest it, and I definitely would highly appreciate if he does. That, hey, D Sizzle in the house, man. What's going on, brother? He could definitely do that, and I would definitely appreciate him doing so. Matt, what's going on, man? But I doubt that, you know, John Lynch is walking in the office telling Kyle, hey, this guy is shit, put in Trey. I really don't think that's happening because it would just create a little bit of separation between them because Kyle would have probably look at him and go, I know what I'm doing. But honestly, there are times where we question that to an extent. strictly based on the fact that sometimes the play calling is a little shoddy. And then, hell, perfect example. Go back to 2019 in the Super Bowl when they took a shot when they were going into halftime and it was 20-10 and Kyle just let the time run out. They had a shot that went to John Lynch, and John Lynch is doing this as if stating like, hey, man, call a timeout. Let's go ahead and push, try to push the ball down the field. But those are things that happen. So in this game, luckily Jimmy only took one sack. That was unfortunately the safety in the end zone where he stood there like a fucking statue and didn't move. I mean, he just waited for the guy to tackle him as if he just didn't know how to run away. The other negative thing is don't run a read option with Jimmy Garoppolo. Just don't do that. Jimmy is not a read option quarterback. If you were going to run that, you could have put Trey in and simply said it's a read option. You look at what you see. If you see the opening, keep it. If you don't, put the ball in the belly of your running back and just keep pushing. But Trey is that guy, not Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't do read option. He's pretty good at quarterback sneaks. I'll give him that. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Load of truth. I really do, man. I try to keep it a buck as much as possible, man. And believe me, we got a lot of 49er content creators out there that keep it a buck. Shout out to everybody out there that does it. My guys over at the Forever Faithful podcast, my guys in the Hive just in general, Moles Knows, Nitty Gritty Niners, man. All of the guys out there, and NBN, everybody, man. We all try to keep it a buck because we look at things from a realistic perspective. And for me in this game, those two interceptions taking that safety, those were unacceptable things by Jimmy Garoppolo. And it frustrates you because you'll see something good from him and then he'll do something bad. Jimmy has you on such an emotional roller coaster every game. You never know what you're going to get, man. It's like being in a bad relationship, man. You wake up one morning and saw roses and flowers and sunshine and bunnies and rabbits and shit. And next thing you know, you wake up the next morning and it's like it's a fucking gloomy day. You feel depressed and, you wondering why the fuck you in the relationship. And that's basically what it is with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's a continual up and down. He never gives you anything specific that allows you to be able to, key in and say, this is the reason we have this guy. This is the reason he is our quarterback. And the craziest thing is we have a lot of people out there, and I like to say they're Jimmy G optimists. And the reason I state that is because they try to look at the bright side of things. Shout out to Eric Crocker. Shout out to Jason Aponte. Those two dudes are very optimistic when it comes to Jimmy. They're finished. When dudes who are constantly optimistic about Jimmy, and they're great content creators. They are amazing at what they do. But when they get finished with you, that tells you something, man. That tells you that as fans, we're not just sitting here just bullshitting, just pissed off for no fucking reason. That tells you, look, even if it's gotten to people who are optimistic and try to look at the brighter side of things and they just seeing it, fuck, this is just not going to work. It is what it is, man. We can't put the ball in his hands because he winds up screwing it up. So we run the ball to control the clock and we make sure that we pass, and try to make sure we pass as quick as we can to mask the deficiencies of the right side of the line because Daniel Brunskill gets punked on a consistent basis. Tom Compton is hot garbage in pass pro. So if we hold the ball too long, then we wind up kicking ourselves in the butt because somebody's going to get to Jimmy eventually. Because he doesn't seem to realize when the pocket is collapsing in, you got to move. You got to find an opening and get out there or shift the pocket yourself. Those are simple things that any quarterback in the league knows. You watch Aaron Rodgers do it on a consistent basis, So in this game, let's look at some positives. Defense played as well as they could, man. 4 sacks on Russell Wilson. That is a damn good game. Because it's hard to sack Russell Wilson. It truthfully is. Even in the age that he is now, and even though he doesn't move like he used to, it's really hard to get Russ. Russ is still an elusive guy. He's not as elusive as he once was, but believe me, he'll make you think twice before you over pursue that ass. That dude will get away, and he gets away quick. So let's just go over like I said, some of the positives in the game. When you look at it from, a sack standpoint, you got Azeez Al-Shaair and Artie Key with half a sack. Then Eric Armstead had one. Nick Bosa had one. Jordan Willis had one. So we had a bunch of different people getting to Russell Wilson. That was definitely not even a problem. We had the dudes doing it. Eric Armstead had 2 QB hit. We hit Russell Wilson 8 times, and Nick Bosa had 3 on him. So it was definitely a beautiful thing. When it came down to it, we forced 4 fumbles. We only recovered 2, but we forced 4 fumbles. So that tells you that the defense is doing every single thing that they can. The harsh part in this game was Trent Cannon. You never like to see a player go down. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially not being mobile for a long period of time. That's very scary. But you put in Travis Benjamin. Travis Benjamin, technically speaking, is a punt returner and kick returner. That was his specialty. He is not a receiver. So I don't know how on God's green earth it's like he forgot to secure the ball, but he gets that fumble, we get screwed. We scored all our points in the first half as well. That's the hard part. We scored nothing in the second half. They shut us down. So Azeez Al-Shaair, man, had a hell of a game. When you look at Azeez Al-Shaair, 16 fucking tackles, 1 TFL, a QB hit. He was all over the damn field making plays, man. DJ Jones balled out. He had 7 tackles and 2 TFLs, man. Those are the things that were working. And when you come to look at things from a different standpoint, we had the 1 interception, K'Wan Williams. They had 2, Quandre Diggs and Bobby Wagner, as I stated earlier. When you come in and you look at everything from an overall team standpoint, I'm going to look at those stats. We wound up getting penalties, and those penalties started to kill us. And that's where we shoot ourselves in the foot, man. 10 penalties for 86 yards. They had 6 for 40. We had 3 turnovers. So did they. So when you look at it, it definitely winds up hurting us, man. We had the ball for 26 minutes. They had the ball for 33. Over the last 3 weeks before this game versus Seattle, what's up, Peachy? How you doing? Over the last 3 games before this game, we had the ball for no less than 35 minutes a game. It all goes back to the same thing. When our defense is playing well, when we're running the ball well, we win games. But when we don't run the ball well and we have to put the hands in the ball of Jimmy Garoppolo to be able to dig us out of a hole, nothing materializes. So that tells you the unfortunate situation is there's a problem. We know what it is, but our head coach is not going to change that. I will maintain my same stance and I will never waver. They are trying to push his trade value through the roof because we have a trash quarterback class coming out next year, and they know they can get someone to be gullible and bite on it. If Jimmy makes the playoffs and gets to the NFC Championship game and loses, he becomes a first-round pick instantaneously. And it's not due to his talent. It's due to the talent that's lacking in the draft. It's due to the talent that's lacking in free agent quarterbacks. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying he truthfully is worth a first-round pick because we all know the truth of that. That definitely ain't the case. The man can't stay healthy. He's, so that winds up being he's barely on the field. When he is on the field, he's doing pedestrian-ass quarterback shit. So when the offseason comes, you'll start to look at the teams and say, okay, who needs a quarterback? Who can we dupe into giving us a first-round pick? Because that's basically what we're trying to do, keeping it a buck. The other day, what did we see? Another positive from the game. The explosion of George Kittle. Where have you been since the season started? This is George Kittle's best game. Kittle went out there and balled out. He blew the Seahawks away. It was almost unfair what he was doing to them, man. Like he really hurt them. And I never say it's unfair because I love George Kittle and I want him to succeed. George Kittle, 9 catches on 12 targets, 181 yards, 2 TDs, averaging 20.1 yards per catch. But here's the disparaging thing between that. Next person who has the most catches is 3 for 55 with Brandon Ayuk. Then after that is Juice, 2 for 21. He couldn't even hit Juice on a simple play where Juice was standing wide open with nothing but green grass in front of him because he threw the ball too high. How do you know the height and the length of all of your receivers, your fullbacks, and your running backs, and your tight ends? You can't overthrow Juice like that. Now, there'll be people out there that'll say, well, Juice should have caught the ball. Or, why didn't he jump? He's a fullback. What fullback do you know has a vert that really gets up in the air and goes to climb the ladder to get something? And then what quarterback do you know is going to fucking easy throw up like that, where all you have to do is just loft the ball to the man? You don't even have to do anything. 9 times out of 10, our frustration with Jimmy comes from him not putting the ball on the receiver where it needs to be. Half the time, you're twisting back. Kenneth Goldsmith, his footwork is terrible. That's very true. How many times have you seen Jimmy G in the pocket, standing there, shifting, bouncing on his feet and patting the ball and looking left and right? If you can get through your reads twice, something's wrong. I understand there are times the receivers may or may not get reception. And welcome Kenneth Goldsmith to the channel. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button. But this is what I'm saying. These are things that you see and you just look and you go, why? Why are these things happening? What's the issue? You can have people going, and the hard part is Steve Young has talked about it. Kurt Warner has talked about it. There have been so many people that have broken down film of Jimmy Garoppolo and shown all his open deficiencies. I guarantee you anybody in the NFL could just watch that stuff and look and go, oh, okay. So when he does, X, he's going to go here. When he does this, he's going to go there. The man doesn't even hit the people coming out of their breaks. And that is the number one thing that you want to do as a quarterback. If a guy's running a hitch route, by the time he turns around, that ball should be on its way. Unless you see something as a quarterback that tells you don't throw that ball because it could, the DB has sat on that route and he already knows what you're doing. If you wanted a post route, the minute I make my break and come up and I'm going boom, boom, the time I hit this, that ball should be on its way. It should be going where I'm supposed to actually be. That interception that he threw to Quandre Diggs, Trent Sherfield standing wide open on the other side of the field. See, Trey Lance hits Trent Sherfield. So it's just understanding the deficiencies that we currently have at quarterback and what we have to do to get better. And knowing that if we don't run the ball, we're going to wind up screwed. This next game up against the Bengals, we got to run the ball. And we're going to have to put all that work on Elijah Mitchell. You know why? Because the next best person is Jermichael Hasty. Because Jeff Wilson Jr., his knee is flared up on him. Trey Sermon, we still don't know how he's doing with that ankle injury. You see what I'm saying? These are the things that happen, and we have nothing that we can really do. Jimmy doesn't see linebackers. He never has. And I'm going to tell you right now, I believe this kid's name is like Logan Wilson or like Logan Thomas or something like that. And he plays for the Bengals. Be very mindful of that young man. Tommy Huxley, what's happening with you, man? Yeah, we're all down after this loss. We are. We dropped to the 7th seed in the playoffs. But there's a kid out there. His name's Logan. I forget his last. I think it's like Wilson or something like that, or Thomas. And he plays for the Bengals. He is quietly one of the best middle linebackers in the league. Nobody is even talking about this kid. I don't want to see him going up against Jimmy because Jimmy might go ahead and just throw the ball to him since that's what he likes to do. Joe Burrow has came out openly and said, I don't care if my finger is mangled and falling off my damn hand. I'm playing. Like, that's what you want in a quarterback. You want a quarterback that's going to take responsibility, hold himself accountable, make sure that he goes out and he does better every game. And we want a quarterback that's consistent. That's the issue. We couldn't get Aaron Rodgers. We passed on Tom Brady of all people. We didn't get Matthew Stafford because we were just in the wrong hotel and we didn't make the right push. These are things that happen. And, what do you say? I heard Burrow is looking horrible in practice. Yeah, man. I mean, when you got a finger injury, man, you're not going to look great. And I don't think he's going to want that. Kenneth says, I don't think Jimmy really knows the playbook because he goes more so where he's comfortable than where the ball is supposed to go if he reads the defense correctly. No, Jimmy doesn't do that. The issue with Jimmy is the playbook has been condensed to mask his deficiencies continuously ever since he's been here. Because you have to think about it. When he came in 2017, when we went in and picked him up, those last 5 games, that was the even more condensed playbook. He basically was just out there playing football. So in 2018, you're thinking, okay, this is the time where he actually learns it, starts to understand it, and grows within it. But he went out there trying to be a fucking running back towards goddamn ACL, so he loses a season in that. When your coach says that you've been here for almost 4 years and this is your best off season from a playbook standpoint, that's a negative. You've been here too long. And your coach openly came out and said that the rookie already had the playbook down before training camp was up, mentally. So if Trey Lance mentally has the playbook down, he needs to put the young kid out there to let him execute. These are things that we all know and understand. So positives from the game, defense played as best they could with whatever they could. We forced 4 fumbles. We got 2 back. Like, these are the things that you can't complain about. Special teams, we got to clean that up, man. Hightower, you got to get your boys together, man. Get them right. And I have no idea why Travis Benjamin is on the team as if he can't return the ball, because we had to put Brandon Ayuk back there. And currently at that time, when we put him back there, he's our number 1 receiver. Why we got to put our number 1 receiver back to return punts and kicks? Because you don't know how to hold the fucking ball. This don't make no damn sense. And that's your only job. That's your only job, is to hold the ball and return kicks and punts. You were supposed to be this dynamic returner. We went ahead, picked you up. We get nothing out of you. So it'll be a different situation for us when we go into this next week. Now, from a technical standpoint, when you look at the rushing, I will say this. Rashad, Travis homers, 3 for 80. That hurt. That really did hurt. You know what I mean? So we gave up a total of 146 yards over the past 3 weeks. Before that, we had barely given up 70. We were holding these runners down, man. They couldn't go anywhere. I know a lot of people were afraid of Adrian Peterson at first, but I was like, ain't nobody worried about EP. So the biggest issue that we have right now currently is, what do we do with the quarterback position that's going to allow us to be able to succeed over these next few games? Because we can't go into Cincinnati and lose and continue to believe that we're going to wind up, making the playoffs. Those are things that we cannot do. So when you look at our next slate of games, because Cincinnati just got embarrassed, 41-22 by the Chargers. They whooped their ass. So we got the Bengals. If we win that game, the next game on the list is the Falcons. That's a winnable game, very winnable game. Then after that, we got the Titans, and they haven't looked good as of late. They've looked pretty bad. So that's a winnable game. The Texans, there's no reason on God's green earth we should lose that game. And then we got the LA Rams. You know what I mean? So we beat the Rams earlier this season. We can probably beat them again. But we have to finish this slate of games on a win streak to be able to continue to solidify the spot. Or we got to hope that everybody else that's playing, and fighting for a playoff spot winds up screwing up somehow. I definitely didn't see Detroit beating the Minnesota Vikings, but congratulations to Detroit and those dudes for getting that dub. Hey, man, and everybody's like, oh, well, they partied like it was, the Super Bowl. When you fucking, 0-10, yeah, your first win feels fucking amazing. I know, because a couple years ago, after Jimmy Garoppolo started, in 2017, I mean, hell, we partied with CJ Better like it was 1999 because CJ Better got us our first win. That's the thing. You got to celebrate those moral victories because you don't get them very often. And you got a coach to sit up there, man. He got blood, sweat, and tears out there for these guys. He's doing everything he can. And they were in a lot of their games, but it just didn't work out for them, So to cap off everything with the Seahawks, man, penalties, special teams, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the refs. Those were the things that shot us in the foot. When we're down and we need him to do what he needs to do, he doesn't do it. We got down to the end zone, and it was very simple for Kyle. He could have been smarter with some of the plays. I mean, at a bare minimum, he'll throw Trent Williams or take in one of our extra offensive linemen and put them in at fullback and just let Elijah run that in. There's no reason you had to keep trying to throw the ball on, we're down there inside the 5, for God's sakes. You could have just ran. You could have just punched it in. You had your timeouts. There was nothing stopping us but us. So we lost that game, man. It's time to move on. I had a couple days to think about it. I think the reason that I didn't necessarily do a show ahead of time was strictly based on the fact that I was just really pissed off. I jumped on with my guys on the Forever Faithful podcast, and I was very calm, but I wasn't going to do anything on a reaction because I already know that I would have just been on here cursing and screaming and hollering, and this just would have been a waste. And I don't want to give y'all that kind of content. I'm trying to be better about my language and whatnot, but it all kind of comes out sometimes. And, it's just keeping it a buck. So, Load of Truth says, why not put Sherfield back there? He's quick and a receiver. It could work. I understand that. Tommy Hudson says, fire Low Tower immediately. He sucks. We are dead last in special teams, and that is unacceptable. That is very true. I have to say I got to agree with that. And they can try to run the ball down our throat with Joe Mixon, but I doubt they're going to be able to do that. I don't think we give up as much as we gave up this game, and we possibly have Fred coming back. So for the Bengals game, I believe we get Fred back, and I believe Mo Hurst should finally be back. Mosley is out for a couple of weeks, pretty much the rest of the season with that high ankle sprain. So there's things that are going to happen, but we'll do what we can. So I am going to stop there when it comes to the Seattle game. We lost that game. We got to go ahead and take it with a grain of salt. We all know what the issues were and are. But on a lighter note, went ahead and did my picks. So this week I wound up 8-6. There were a couple of losses where I was like, why? So, of course, the Vikings losing to the Lions. I definitely didn't see that happening. I picked the Raiders to win, and they wound up losing. I picked the Broncos over the Chiefs, and I know a lot of people thought that was a stretch. But once again, another situation when it comes to in division games. The Chiefs usually have a problem with their divisional foes. People outside of the division, they seem to be doing a little bit better against. But my total for the season is I'm 114, 79, and 1. So I'm good. I don't have any problems with that. I think I'm doing all right for the season. Everything will work out. I will continue to make my picks. I'm probably going to do a pick show tomorrow. My pick shows are usually quick and straight to the point. So I usually just do those on IG. So if y'all are here and y'all see me, man, I'm going to go ahead and put this up here so y'all can definitely go ahead and check your boy out. That's everything. Y'all see me here on YouTube. That's the Twitter. That's the IG. That's the easiest way to catch me on any kind of social media. I broadcast these on Twitter, but, that I can't see the comments and whatnot. They switched it up because Periscope used to be what they used, but they've shut that down. So that's a little bit different. Every now and then I'll host a space. But right now, my picks, 114, 79, and 1. Feel very good about that record. I'm not crossed the threshold of 100 losses, so I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing something good. I'll pick these games next week. I'll probably do that tomorrow just as a quick little joint, to do whatever I need to do. But I thank you guys for tuning in, taking the time out of your day to come hang out with your boy. I will continue to bring you 49er content. And, I really appreciate everybody for stopping in here. Shout out to everybody who came in and hung out with me for a little bit. I really appreciate it, man. At the end of the day, I'm just here doing something that I love. This is definitely something that's a passion for me. I'm going to continue to get things better. I'll have some of the background back probably after Christmas. I know y'all see my kitchen and everything, got the protein shakes and, a little bit of cereal and everything. But Kenneth Goldsmith says, I'm no longer wasting energy on Jimmy G because we already know what to expect from him. From here on out, all the blame goes to Kyle, whether the players execute or not. He refuses to fix what's broken. That is a very valid point. A very, very valid point. He does refuse to fix what's broken. He knows the issues that we face. So at the end of the day, you could truthfully go ahead and switch it up. You really could. You could look and say, you know what? I got 5 games to be able to play. You know what I'm saying? Right now, the 49ers are 6-6. I got 5 games left, man. I need to turn it up. And I need these games to be wins. And if I give you something you ain't ready for in a young quarterback that you have not seen, that you know nothing about, outside of the Arizona Cardinals game, and if I switch it up and don't run a stupid college offense like I did in that game, and at the same time, if I put Trent Sherfield and Juwan Jennings on the field instead of dressing Travis fucking Benjamin to be a receiver, when that's not what he is, obviously you can see he ain't even a goddamn returner, it makes more sense. But that's basically what it is. Oh yeah, Matt. I don't know what's going on, man. I it seems like you're a Trailblazers fan, my brother. But yeah, my Bulls made the right moves in the offseason. I'm a diehard Bulls fan, and we look very good. And I'm very happy about what's going on in our season. Bare minimum, we make the damn playoffs. I know that much. My Bulls will make the playoffs. My Braves won the fucking World Series, so I'm very happy about that. I actually am waiting on the World Series hat. But hey, I appreciate y'all for stopping in. Thank you so much. What I'm saying? I'll be back with more videos. You guys stay blessed, stay faithful, have a wonderful evening no matter where you are in the world. And stay safe out there, man. It's a crazy world, but at the end of the day, we got to live in it. Peace.